All right. Let's continue with that little brief intermission. I apologize, guys. I apologize. We are back. Whoa. I think I deserve a Pringles for that one. Thank you. All right, let's jump into it. So we were saying Knight entered it, Kanavi entered it, but then Knight entered it, and then it didn't matter. Kanavi level 2, doing the bowling ball. Jackalope needs to flash. It's just such a fucking coin flip. Like, obviously you want to go for things like this when you're playing Lilia. Lilia level 1 is very, very strong. Unbelievably strong. But I feel like top esports kind of threw it. The way you want to play it here. I think if JDG kept this and hit these guys as they were coming in, it would be better. But Knight is spotting everyone. And there we go. The slows of Ashe are pretty powerful, and Lilia also very powerful. I was saying earlier that I think top esports have a better level 1, but I think I was very wrong, actually. Yeah, Flashy, maybe win, yeah. Flashy, maybe win. Very, very smart here by top, because most junglers here and most teams would actually just give this up. But he knows there's no smite. He knows there's no smite. Man this is crazy. Usually, most junglers, I think 99% of junglers don't do this move. They turn a losing position into a slightly winning position. Like, the only reason it's slightly is because we get the red buff, and the chase continues. Jesus. This is so mad. This is so mad. Like, top esports had to go for this. They had to go for this. Like Karsa going for this is fucking genius. The fact that he gets this. But then the improvement could be that he can't really jump in and W, right? Like this. Like this is Karsa being a bit too crazy. He can play on range with Q and wait and play a bit more patiently. Yeah, JDG's level 1 is actually way better. And now if you evaluate the state of the game, like, there's a huge benefit in the fact that Nidalee is so fucking far ahead. 2 kills on Nidalee is not something that you need, that you can brush off. Because always with AP junglers, the faster they get to AP jungle item, the more OP they are. Because the AP jungle item just boosts your clear speed by so much. Ashe doesn't get the craziest base, double longsword into boots. She has red buff advantage. Like, Pantheon is going to have a lot of freedom here. A lot of freedom. And freedom from Pantheon with the flash, like, he still has flash on, means that, you know, probably Sett is gonna die or some shit. Because Sett used double summoners. Karsa level 3 already. Kanavi still level 2, didn't take blue. Now you can go for crab top, Karsa. Yeah, imagine being Cannon or Renekton in this shit, man. You just fucking... Nah, you can't go Devour. It's too long of a cooldown. Like, even if you did not Devour Pantheon W, you are going to just be too useless. But I think, in hindsight, I think the 1v1, level 1 is just much better for JDG. Like, Lilia, Pantheon, and Ashe are just too strong. So it was a very, very good game plan, I think. I love when people make like an opinion. They're like, I have disclaimer, I am a Team Liquid fan, but I don't even like Bjergsen. But yeah, and that's why my opinion is more valid when I say that, you know, he's pretty good. It's really funny. Karsa's in position. This should be completely okay. Good pathing timing here from Karsa, because bottom is completely doomed, right? If they get dove again here by Pantheon, it's pretty rough. Kanavi fighting Nidalee. This is painful. Very, very hard. Keep in mind, Yagao also has TP here. Yagao TP is rough. This is something that... Like this right here is something that a lot of teams... So if we're looking at this series, we're looking for difference makers, right? Difference makers between the team. Like why are the LPL teams regarded so highly beyond the fucking hype that they've won two world championships? Moments like this, you know, they really cement their lead after they gain one. Like, of course, the game state is very tough for Jhin and Tam, but Nidalee path into bottom, and in a lot of cases, nothing would come out of this. In a lot of regions, LCK, LEC, maybe G2 could pull something off here. But you see Yagao just rushing into bottom sides, trying to match, and here, you know, we're just playing a poking game. We saw this a lot from World Elite at 2017 World Championship, where they're just sieging bottom, poking. The refillable potions are empty already for top esports. Yagao has TP on now, and the moment Nidalee goes up into the top side, it is a very dangerous game. Very dangerous game. That's one plating. Yaga still TP on. That's the main thing we need to pay attention to. Both junglers with mirror pathings. Top lane state is very good for Zoom, all things considered. Like he has Mercury on into Zika's arm guard. I think he can be happy. Considering he's ahead into Cannon, it's with absolutely no jungle interaction. It's good. Do you think LPL is overrating Jhin? Not necessarily. They just value early lane phase a lot. I'm an LS fan and honestly don't like you that much, but you smurf on these reviews. I lost a lot of viewers when I disconnected, but that's okay. I don't mind, honestly. I don't care about the numbers too much. Like, I think when there's too many people in here, it gets almost stressful. Because I like to interact with the chat, you know, I want to give something back to the community, and I think the more people there are here, it gets tricky. I don't like how JDG are kind of like auto-pushing. I understand that they want to make sure that JackeyLove doesn't get to base, and they are just playing with the Kanavi timer, but I think maybe they could find more impact if they froze. Because they got one plating, but how much does that really matter? How much does that really matter? I don't know why Yaga ulted here. He TP'd back to lane. There's an item advantage in mid. We were talking about how the TP is important, but in a lot of cases, you know, if you TP back to lane, that gives you the tempo you're going to gain from TPing bottom. Does that make sense? So, for example, you can TP into mid, have an item advantage, and then win the prio, and then going to bottom, accomplishing the same. So the finished AP jungle item, this is so huge, so huge. You compare the item points of both junglers, and the reason it's so huge is because Nidalee's growth is going to be like exponential now. You know, it's going to fucking fly through the roof because she's one-shotting camps now. So here we see the item advantage really making a difference, and just because he TP'd back to lane means he's going to have one tempo anyway, and he can rush into bottom side if he wants to. But Nidalee's item advantage is so fucking humongous that it might be just too hard. So here, question is if Lilia is just basing in the wrong location. If she bases down on bottom side, like here, top esports are just fucking coin flipping the game, right? Like imagine Lilia is basing here instead. Could be the case. Could be the case. Like right here, Lilia could be chilling, and then this would be complete GG. Complete GG. But top esports go for this gamble because the state of JackeyLove's lane is so shit. So terrible. So terrible. So they're like Baylife, you know? They're going for it. Now Lilia shows up and she's way too late. In a different world, this could be fantastic. And then at the same time, I don't know where Pantheon is going. Like, where is Pantheon going? Like, Pantheon is going to Zimbabwe and back. Like, this is silly beans right here. And this completely saves the lane, considering we had a lane state where Ashe is 3-0-1, and now Jhin might be looking at a BF sword base. And whatever item Loken's going to buy next, whether it's a Cutlass, and maybe he's going to buy Berserker Greaves into Vampiric, something like this, it is the item advantage is not going to be that huge. It could have been huge. Like if you force a Jhin to bait on like a pickaxe or like some double longswords, then it would be humongous. Still, Lilia is still spending time on bottom. Maybe she just jacked some CS to get, you know, the jungle item. Lemar had a lot of tempo because he died early and bottom got pushed in anyway. And then Lemar rolled into Karsa. Karsa has been unbelievably good in this game. Like, he's just fucking on the right place always. Hecarim has the same problem as Evelynn. Well, you can see it as a problem, you can see it as a strength, or regardless of how you see it. Like, I personally also think Hecarim is a bit overrated. A bit overrated. Because it's very weak and it needs to buy Trinity Force. And doing that on any jungle is fucking awkward. Like, if you look at the games where Hecarim was played in Europe, a lot of those games, it was just straight up, you know, Hecarim getting a fucking double kill or a kill at minute 4. And that's just shouldn't be the benchmark of how you evaluate a jungle pick. Same with Eve, yeah, same with Eve. Like, a lot of those games, Eve just got a fucking kill on minute 4. Like, I think Eve is not bad. So after me praising Karsa, I don't understand why he's persistent of making the situation happen in topside. Because already now, like he spotted Pantheon. He spotted Pantheon. Lilia spotted. Oh, maybe there was a little Tutski here. Oh, a little Tutski, guys. A little Tutski. A little Tutski made Nidalee show here, and now everyone's reacting. But Karsa is a very coin flip again. Very coin flip. Not necessary. I don't like that Ashe commits all the way up here. I think Ashe could be still on the bottom side. Like I don't need. You don't need to give up bottom here. You don't need to. You don't need to. Some Chinese caster said Hecarim is overrated. For sure, it's overrated by Europe. Like, Fnatic won't get away with playing the way they did against an LPL team, I believe. Well, like, guys, just fucking stay out. There's no reason to go. There's no reason to go at all. Frosk has summoned you. Yeah, I'm just finishing up, Frosk. Let me finish. Let me finish. Allow me to finish. Sett jungle is good. I think Sett jungle is really good. Let's play this out a little bit quicker so we don't let our friends wait. Boom. Right in the slammer. Yeah, this is kind of a silly mistake from Lamau. Like, he's walking into the bot side river the aggressive way after they just did Herald. So top esports, naturally, if they're going to give up the Herald, they're going to step into this side of the jungle. Lamau has absolutely no business being here. Qiyana is basing, Lilia's on this side of the map. They need to retake through bottom, and they need to accept that they need to maybe give out Cloud Drake. I don't like this song. Oh, wow. What's this? That's cool. For those who don't know, like, naturally, if you want to... You never want to stand and look at the enemy while they're doing an objective. You never want to stand and look at the enemy doing an objective. If you can't contest it, just fucking accept it and move on. That's what top esports did here, right? They couldn't contest it, so just moved on and contested the different side of the map to make sure that there is some kind of trade in place. In this case, the trade is better for JDG because they had the initiative on the Rift Herald. Obviously, you want Rift Herald over Cloud Drake. I'm saying that at this point in the game, someone's gonna say, well, this game went to force Cloud Drake and they had the Cloud Drake and because of it, you know, I get it. But at this point in time, the Herald looks a lot more favorable. And then, yeah, top esports are just overextending. Like this is an LEC level mistake, right? This is an LEC level mistake. Like, Sett is going back into mid. Sett could be chilling here. Like, Sett should be chilling here if they want to do something here, but obviously there's nothing here. Like, there's nothing here. This is a ghost town. This is, oh, it looks like a little person. Look at that. Okay. There's nothing here. Looks like a toast. This is Jesus toast. So there's nothing here. Obviously, there's nothing here. Don't go for this. Come on. People ask, just because some people have fun, people always ask, are you high? Come on. Allow yourself to be silly sometimes. Yeah, with this Tom Death, the Herald bottom was humongous. There was no reason to even contest this. The advantage Nidalee had is now gone. Sett should be finding prio against the Agao. Like, the item gap is huge. Like, the item gap is monstrous. Like, it is very awkward because here, like, the reason I was surprised with the Qiyana pick into Sett specifically is precisely because of this. Like, you're giving Sett even more reasons to continue on with the shape of, you know, like, you're giving more reasons for the enemy to buy armor, while Sett already had a reason to buy armor. But yeah, Kanavi is so fucking fed, so it might just compensate for it. It's crazy that he survived this, actually. Very nice movement there by Jackalove in the end. And then Kanavi just doesn't give a fuck. And here, look how crazy fast this champion is when he has 5 stacks. He can get around, he can move around. And after this whole interaction, it just looks like the game should be lost. But the reason the gold is very deceptive is because the item choices of top esports are so goddamn valuable. Sometimes the gold doesn't tell the whole story, right? Let's say you have 250 euro, okay? In some shops, you might get more, in some shops you might get less, right? Let's pretend this right here is a shop, and this right here is a shop. The top esports shop is a bit cheaper because the itemization is a bit more clean. If you look at the champions, what do they want to itemize, right? You look at Sett, he wants to get Sunfire Cape. He wants to get a Sunfire Cape going. He wants to buy defensive stats. He's very happy to buy Sunfire Cape mid. Even in a world where Sett is indeed playing against an AP mage in mid, he is going to lean towards Bami Cinder because it just helps so much with his wave clear, right? It just puts him in the range of, you know, of getting things done. This team has 250 bucks right now, and this team has 220, but they will get more out of that money. You know, they will get more out of that money. Or if you think of Cannon, he wants to buy Zonya. He's very happy to buy Zonya. And Nidalee the same thing. This Super Gucci, very nice. Sure, JDG's team composition, the one key thing is that they have a lot of CC. Someone asked about Karsa getting Mercury. It's necessary here because the CC chain is going to be a bit too powerful. Sure, sometimes you see Nidalee players go for Conqueror and then they go for the Tenacity, but Mercury makes complete sense against this team. There is Sleep, there is Stun, there is two forms of CC. Of course, it's a knock-up into a stun, so the stun portion is the only portion that gets reduced. There's Ash arrows and there's Ash slows, and the same thing for Pantheon W, right? So Mercury makes a lot of sense. I like this move from Jakilov. A thing that a lot of pro-level AD carries do when they are behind, they never finish Berserker Greaves and they never finish Shoes. Shoes are very premium and they are very, very strong and very cost efficient, but they will not lead you to the point where you get 2 item spikes. They might just delay that, and because of it now, they're sitting on 1 item each. Of course, Ashe has Berserker Greaves advantage, but we have a Storm Razor into an Essence Reaver. This is a very, very common thing you'll see with the top level AD carries, just because it's so important that you're able to trade auto attacks with the enemy AD at the point where you can't. As an AD carry, you'll be in a losing position very, very often. So still, the gold evaluation is deceptive. Kanavi not going for Sorcerer Shoes might be a bit suspect. Can't the move speed help you trade too? Yes, but the way move speed works, the way I would describe it, it gives you additional range. As silly as that might sound. For example, Misfortune, she has very, very high move speed, which naturally increases her attack range because she's allowed to move more before the auto attack goes and so forth. Obviously, Berserker Greaves are great. You know? Or finishing Shoes are great. But I've seen this many times where AD carries prefer to finish large ticket items before getting boots. Here, Jin had a 600 gold base, so of course he went for the shoes. I know Reckless likes to finish shoes early. Yeah, there are, like, shoes are great. Don't get me wrong. Shoes are fantastic. Shoes are really, really good. But in some cases, shoes are premium. I think Sorcerer Shoes would be nasty, but then again, we just discussed Mercury threads and how important Mercury threads are. So maybe Kanavi had the foresight to think that Mercuries are going to land on the enemy team and Sorcerer Shoes are not going to be that valuable. You might just go voice up third and that's it, you know? Thank you, I am Dens. If we look at the item timings here, like Kiana doesn't look so exciting, and the big gap between Jhin and Ashe is not there. So it's not an ideal timer here to fight for JDG. A good rule of thumb for all of you is gold is only relevant if it's spent. And the next kind of layer to it is if it's spent on actual large ticket items. Here the difference between Ashe and Jhin's strength is not that large. You even have a level advantage on Jackalove, right? Same thing with Pantheon and Town Coco. Sett is very happy to fight at this point in time. I disagree with Cannon's item choice here to go for the Oblivion Orb. Already a lot of Mercuries on the enemy team. I think there's no reason to go for this. I think finishing Zhonya's, Spellbinder, Deathcap, Void Staff, these type of items just will make you much stronger. I think the Panth item is much more valuable though than the random Kindle Gem on Tahm-Kench. Keep in mind Tahm-Kench's shoes are more expensive than the Pantheon's item, and there's a lot of armor already on... There's a lot of armor already on the enemy team, so the lethality definitely goes down in value. Very surprising that Karsa is not buying Zika's Armguard. Like, Zika's Armguard is... let me show you this, guys. Let me show you this. This always blows my mind. So, Zika's Armguard is, when stacked, one of the most cost-efficient items in the game. This is absolutely nasty. Absolutely nasty for an item that is this cheap. Sure, you can reach these numbers with like a death cap on full items and so forth. But this in itself is absolutely crazy. Of course, always with items that have defensive stats, they tend to be a bit more gold efficient. Right? Because armor only works in some specific scenarios, while ability power on some specific champions, it will always have value. Like armor works maybe against two players, two things in the game, while ability power always works on 5, right? So of course the evaluation is always crazy, but in this particular game, when armor is a premium stat, Zika's Armguard is absolutely nuts. But this, in general, Zika's Armor is a fantastic item. Building into Zhonya's. So Zhonya loses a lot of that cost efficiency because you're spending a lot of that gold for the active. In some cases, for example, if you're playing against a Caitlyn, there is no reason for you to ever finish Zhonya's Hourglass because Zhonya, in a lot of cases, just fucks you over against Caitlyn. There's some situations where Zhonya and the stasis effect just doesn't have any value, but there's also a shit ton of cases where it does. So it's hard to put an abstract value on the active because you can outplay so many things with it. It can win you games. Sometimes it can lose you games, but rarely so because you're the one that actually uses it. It doesn't trigger at some specific point, right? Like if it was like turn into stasis when you drop 20% HP, then, you know, okay. Then it would be a lot worse. This is a game though where Zhonya can have a lot of value, right? You can dodge the sleep of Kanavi, you can dodge a Renekton combo, you can dodge a Pantheon, you can dodge an arrow. I don't get it. What makes Zhonya's bad versus Kate? Well, she can just put a trap. And usually when you get trapped, you're just in too much danger. Getting trapped by Kate in most cases means death. It's the same with a TP, right? QSS is not bad at all here for Tahm-Kench because if he buys QSS, you know, he's the only target where he can, you know, potentially... Like, he's the target for sleeps to be killed, for arrows, for Pantheon Ws. He's the target. So QSS is definitely a great buy. Knight's Vow is also a great buy because you want that armor boost. Sunfire first on Sett, yes. Very common. Usually you just go Bami Cinder into other items because you play against AP mages in mid, like a Zoe or something. But in this case, he's against Qiyana, so he's just committing all the way with armor, and he's reaching the point where he's kind of unkillable. Now, Nidalee finished her Zhonya's. She's super happy. Now also, if we look at Ashe, this is a point in time. Like before this was a point in time where her advantage over Jhin was significant. But then again, the base happens, and then now the advantage that Ashe has is a pickaxe. So it's always, you know, you can see someone as ahead, but how much does it matter in the grand scheme of things? I thought this was very interesting when I saw this from Kanavi, that he's going for the Dead Man's Plate, which is very interesting. You're not really forced to ever basic attack with a Lilia, but I'm also not sure if it's just straight up overkill. Yeah, Oblivion Orb was a wrong choice for Cannon. We already mentioned that. Okay, Oblivion Orb shouldn't be the case here. Like even committing so far as to getting a Morello, I think is also not necessary. So Kanavi here. So obviously here is a problem a bit with Knight's itemization, because he has full armor here and he's trying to fight Kanavi, and this is why I felt like Knight's set is a bit awkward. Boom, like he gets fucking straight up one-shotted. No worries, win, Elite. So I don't know what happened to Loken. I don't know why Loken died. Loken just died. Knight is just too smart or what? Knight is just too smart. So this is huge. And now there's a 1k gold advantage, but I would say top esports are winning. They are winning. It is huge that they get mid tower though. Next Drake is going to determine a lot, because we are approaching Soul. You can't be making trades when your team... Oh, Pengu Soldier, thank you very much for the gifted sub. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Tamkin still doesn't have armor, so there are still targets here for JDG to win fights in. Also, Cannon not finishing Zhonya and going for Morello, it's a bit iffy, I feel. I'm doing fine, thank you, Pengu Soldier. Super outscaled is a bit too heavy-handed, because Last Whisper is such a strong item. Like there will be a point in time where Last Whispers land and Black Cleavers land, and you will get a lot of value out of those items into the armor-heavy team that is on the other side. But at this point in time, at this juncture, there is definitely a problem with the lethality items. Yeah, I'm not so sold on the Qiyana pick into Sett, but I like picking AD champs. I think you into Sett, you just go Tristana, honestly. Just go Tristana. Like imagine they pick Tristana here, Tristana Lilia. I think Tristana is giga underrated. Jizuki actually made me research it, and it's actually very strong. You just rush Storm Razor. I think Tristana is very, very good. I believe Lucian was banned, guys. Lucian was banned as the 5th ban, or maybe 4th, or 4-5. So 369, what the fuck was he doing? 369 is taking some bong hits here. He has no reason to be here. Like, you always, as a top laner or as a side laner, you always need to mirror. You always need to mirror what's going on. And his team was hovering into red side, and he made this very difficult. Now, this ward is the MVP of this game. It gives them a lot of entry. Still, there's an issue. Sett gets one-shotted, literally gets one-shotted by the champion. I don't know how to pronounce JDG's, I mean, top esports support name. Jumanji. We just call him Jumanji. Call him Jumanji. Yeah, Jujanja. Jujanja. Ujanja. 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 I don't understand his reasoning as to why he would go first like this. Good positioning from Lemao. A bit of an overcommitment. The fact that he survived here is a goddamn miracle. I don't know how it happened. Zoom maybe had to flash W there. And Knight actually gets so much value here. Like, the way Knight played this fight was very beautiful. Like, he's just zoned off Qiyana completely. She's very late to the fight, and his team is positioned well enough for it to not make a difference. Like, keep in mind, Topis was actually managing to win this 4v5. This mechanically, it's just fucking beautiful, man. Fucking beautiful. The way Top Esports actually managed to maneuver around Qiyana here, and Qiyana not really sure about how she should play this fight. Yeah, in hindsight, I think this Nash is not so doable. But I don't think they are looking to actually like commit to do it. They're just looking for a 4v5 fight, and that's completely reasonable, right? I don't think it's really coin flip. It's not that coin flip. They're just looking to force 4v5. They're not losing that much HP off this. I think if anything, they could have potentially look at because here, I think if Renekton flash W's, it's very juicy. And then they can back off, and then they can reset and go. But Knight just fucking outplayed Yagao so hard here. Yeah, Deadman's Plate, I like the idea, but yeah, it's not good. Why is Qiyana better than Zed if you're going for AD? Qiyana is not so one-dimensional. Like, you don't really want to play Zed against Tam and Sett. Like, you're going to want to kill yourself. Beautiful fight from Top Esports. And also the game-winning one. Very, very beautiful. Nash is finished. Pantheon comes in. Top Esports 369. Still, the man has no fucking Zhonyas yet. This is the biggest Zhonya game ever, and he doesn't have Zhonya. It's this fucking Morello, man. I think Sett is hard counter to Zed. Like, this game, Zed would be terrible. Absolutely terrible. Is Jhin an answer to Ashe? It's a pick that you go with the expectation to just match. And now at this point, how do you really want to win as JDG? It's just too difficult. Renekton cannot gain any access, Sett will deny it, and Tam is also there, and they can play on distance, can play on poke. The Zhonyas are too powerful at this point in time. Jhin is evenly matched in items when it comes to Ashe. He has rapid fire, can poke with that auto. This is a bit cocktail. This is very cocktail. Look at that Ashe, like the Nidalee heal. Question is if it's wasted here on Tam. Because look at this Ashe heal, it drops. I mean, Nidalee heal. 621, this is with Athenes. Very beautiful flash from Jackie Love. Fucking game-breaking flash. Game-breaking flash. because W lands then on Karsa, and look how tanky Karsa is. Karsa is a fucking monster tank. Monster tank. Very, very nice. I think JDG did a lot of good things in this game. Level 1 invade was super beautiful. After the attempts to snowball into bottom side were heavy-handed, but top esports managed to survive. They got the Rift Herald situation for them. They snowballed the Ashe, but not enough for it to be impactful enough. And then the question is just the draft puts them in a position where it's so tricky to itemize well. And then Kanavi has the lone AP going Stoneplate, and it's just not good. They are picking Renekton away because of Nidalee. Like Nidalee Renekton can straight up one-shot you at any point in lane phase with WQ of Nidalee. So this is why it's so highly respected. And using that to snowball into the enemy jungle and get you in the jungle ahead is why people pick Renekton. Renekton is the free ticket to a meal for Nidalee. If Nidalee gets ahead, she becomes incredibly oppressive. If she finishes jungle item or any AP jungle item, they become incredibly oppressive. There are some champions that get picked just to put other champions into a winning position. The best example could be Olaf, right? In some cases, you pick Olaf just to transition the rest of your group and team into a position of power. And that's super important. Sometimes the entire composition is dictated by one or two champions. And that's sometimes enough. I think also what you can do with Olaf is you can go Redemption, you can go Knight's Vow, you can go for these items, and you can always be relatively useful. I think it's a worthy idea to explore. Do you think any team can win Worlds this year? Like if someone's gonna do it, of course, it's G2. Don't you agree that if Rene didn't have a good lane, he will be almost out of the game? Well, let's view it like this. Let's say Cannon is 100% useful and Renekton is 50% useful at certain points in the game. Like let's say it's 25 minutes into the game and we are giving champions random evaluations. Cannon can be better than Renekton at a later point in the game, but other champions can compensate for Renekton, right? Let's say you have an Azir, and Renekton had top prio and was pushing and pressuring into Azir. Then all of a sudden, maybe this number here, Azir can compensate for, right? This is a very, very silly way of presenting it, but I hope my point comes across. Like, there's a reason people don't draft like this, right? Like, there's a reason people don't draft like this, right? Like, sure, if you survive with this, it's cool, but you know, it's unrealistic. That's why you can do something like Olaf. Isn't the fact that Renekton would need compensation a big problem? But the thing is, there are certain points in the game, like early on with Renekton Nidalee, I will put their value up at like 200, you know, Renekton Nidalee. Do you think the Damwon is one-dimensional? Just watch the final against DRX and you'll realize that that statement has no room. Bridge top laners work when you have junglers that transition into the game very, very well. The thing is, like, just because Cannon might be able to do more than a Renekton in a fight doesn't make Renekton completely useless, right? Like, if Cannon has the 60 and the 60-40 in comparison to Impact, this is still good. Like, it's still relevant, right? It's still relevant. And on top of that, like, Renekton is very flash reliant, and a lot of the fights happen around Drake, and 5-minute cooldown is ideal, right? It's cool. Like, all LPL teams and Damwon, like, literally all the top teams. Literally the top teams in the world, they're not stupid, right? And the justification for Renekton is, together with certain jungle champions like an Evelynn, like a Nidalee, like a Lilia, it puts them in a position to dominate because of the sheer threat of the 2v2. And that point in itself allows you to take over so much space in the game. So much space. And space matters. The whole concept of jungling is space. Yeah, bad teams should avoid Renekton like the goddamn plague, you know? It's like, we on Sandbox, we tried to pull it off, and it just didn't work for us, you know? So eventually you just have to accept it. Because we couldn't really play Nidalee either. Why not pick Darius then instead of Renekton? Renekton is better lane phase than Darius. And also most of the time Renekton is blind picked. It's way easier to win a game with an Ornn than it is with Renekton. Renekton Flash is still powerful. Like how Renekton scales, the idea of how Renekton scales is very, very overblown. Very overblown. Darius is absolutely shit interaction with everything. But yeah, this was the first game. I hope the summary of the draft made sense. Top Esports showed some brilliance in the 4v5 fight there. Knight on Sett was in team fights fucking beautiful. Some silly mistakes. Like, he was doing the type of mistakes that showed that he doesn't play Sett too much, but he did the type of mistakes. He did the type of plays that showed he's a fucking brilliant player, you know? I'm done talking about Renekton. There are situations where he's bad, there are situations where he's good. Someone subscribed. What are things? What are things? Thank you so much for your subscription. The Savage Bunny subscribed at tier 1. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Is there a champion that is good in all situations? Right now, Caitlyn and Ashe, I would say, fit that bill. Caitlyn. Like Ezreal was that for the longest time ever, right? Ezreal. Because nothing could naturally counter Ezreal. Especially after Yasuo got nerfed so much. Isn't GP... Shen is really not always good, guys. Really, really not. Like right now he's very, very strong, but he's not always good. There's a lot of counters to Shen and there's counters to GP too. Ornn, I guess, yeah, Ornn. But okay. I guess this video will be chopped up into 2 parts.